to remember as well, the virus itself, when it was dealt with in the hospitals, was dealt with incompetence because they didn't understand what it was.
Look, I'm Trevor McDonald. Black Lives Matter, man. I'm out of here.
Get my ears pierced, get a little tattoo, and I'm nice.
Pimp out the stand still lift. That thing gonna start flying up the stairs now. I'm coming, baby. Woo, God.
And you can chime in if you've got something to say from the three best comedians in the UK. They've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
6 months. I was like, Rotted, that's Christmas gone. That's through. That's March.
He said spring.
March. 6. When he said 6 months, I was like, Oh, I was watching it like, and then all of a sudden I was like,
sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news. Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say from the three best comedians in the UK. They've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never.
what's the worst excuse you've ever used for broken up with somebody?
I've always been dumped. I've always been the dumptee. I've never had the courage or the confidence to dump anybody. I've always been the one that's been dumped.
Really?
Why?
And I don't know why.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news. Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say from the three best comedians in the UK. They've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together.
That's my mantra. Jesus God in heaven. Jesus God. And it helps me.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news. Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say from the three best comedians in the UK. They've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube are coming through. Sundays, and you can chime in if you've got something to say from the three best comedians in the UK. They've all got knowledge, the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice.
Greetings and welcome to at the 17th hashtag no joke. 17 we've done, We've been through all sorts of emotions and feelings. Special thank you to the people that have been there with us all the way, and to the people who have just joined us. Spread the word. We're here. Just one more for now, although we are talking about when we could come back, because it looks as though things are, whoops, let me just turn on my light. Things are just getting interesting, and it's not the right time to be stopping. Nevertheless, we've got to take a break. The children are wondering where their daddy is. And can I just take a minute to apologise to Mrs. Nestor for the picture I put up of her yesterday without permission. I'm hoping that doesn't come between us. I've got to say, look, we've got lots of great stuff on the show today, but the most important, without a shadow of doubt, is wills. We put a couple of things up last week and people said, please, let's talk about it. We've got Joan coming on to talk to us. If you've got a question pertaining to wills, please ask it. It might save you an awful lot of problems of seeing families break up. Thanks again to Jill Nichols from Travel Counsellors, because without her, I don't know if we'd be here. And also now to Alison Bajakin. Let's get Angie on. Angie Lamar, the First Lady of British Comedy. Angie, look at you.
Hello.
You look younger this week. Have you done anything?
I'll tell you about that later.
Problems, Angie. Who told me to take my bright side? I thought, oh, well, let's get a young picture of all of us and just put up there. There would be no problem.
When I saw that picture, Eddie, I said, did you get clearance? I went into worship and said, oh, Lord, please. I don't know what's going on in your house.
It's not good. It's not good. What? I even had to turn the heating on to try and get a little, get a little break.
We're in October, Eddie. Come on, heater now. Thank you.
Look at me sweating now. Curtis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nestor. Good afternoon, Angie.
Good afternoon, Curtis.
Fantastic.
Oh, God bless you, sir. You look amazing. Where is he?
It sounds like he's in a giant toilet. Where are you, Curtis?
It sounds terrible. It's actually in a secret location. Hopefully you'll be visiting it next week.
Is he filming? He's got TV work. Oops.
Well, listen, you can tell us, because apparently when you both came on here, you were doing nothing. I looked for the two brockiest, most unemployed people to do this thing with, like me. And now both of you telling me you got work coming out your ears, so we'll talk about that. You owe me 10%.
Remember on whose shoulders you stand, Eddie. Remember on whose shoulders you stand.
Well done, Curtis.
And we're not broke. We're not broken. We're neither of that, okay? We're blessed and highly favoured.
Yeah, well done. I'm glad to see you're in that kind of mood. Because we got some proper scratch your head and move that thing to the side stories today. I tell you, I mean, it is difficult to work out what stories, and I just want to say thank you to all the people who are the producers of the show who go, you must talk about this. You must talk about this. You must. Thank you. But obviously,
is that our WhatsApp group?
Not just our WhatsApp group, but the stories. Why are you talking about that? But listen, we've got a lot to talk about, so we'll get on with it, shall we? Anytime you feel like you want to comment, please comment, because I say Curtis doesn't, because he can't, but Angie and I watch it and read the comments at the end of each one, so there's no comment that's wasted, and please keep them coming. Oh, okay. How do you start anywhere but with Donald Trump? It is an amazing story. So here we go then. Through my life, Mum always says that people make plans and God laughs. We've seen particularly three. That's Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, and the guy who wants to cut down the rainforest in Brazil, effectively deny its importance, its virility, and all three of them have now caught the virus. But, Curtis and Angie, there are a number of people who believe that neither of them have the virus. This is a bit of a story. You have to come on a bit of a journey. So let's go right back where I thought on Tuesday we would be talking about Donald Trump in this respect. Here he was in those presidential debates.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland.
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared to
do
specifically
that,
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white
supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
Are you questioning
no, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
you have to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it.
Well, I suggest he needs it now.
Yes.
That's if you believe that he's got it. So let's go. Curtis and Angie, lots of people. It feeds back to that thing last week where Curtis was talking about he meets people who say it's not real, it's 5G or whatever. First of all, Curtis, do you believe that this man has the virus?
I believe he's nervous of the campaign. I believe he's trying to get some sympathy with it. But where it falls down for me is that all his followers, or the majority of them, are COVID deniers. They are the Americans that want to go into their local shop without a mask and feel you're taken away. It's in the amendment. Man, I'm allowed to not wear a mask. Those are mostly his supporters. So I don't know what the benefit would be for him faking it right now, other than not having another.
So give me an answer then. Do you believe he has the virus?
Yes, I believe he has something. I don't know if he's got a strong strain. I know he's got mental issues. I don't know if he's got the real deal, because I saw him allegedly walking about, getting on helicopter and all of those things. So as much as we've all prayed for him, haven't we? I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
Well, Angie, you're the woman of God, right? Let me tell you, when I got it right, the jokes, and I just didn't want to be that guy, it was a great virus. It was the greatest virus in the history of all viruses. I mean, I'm the most powerful man to ever receive the virus. All of those people with him drinking Dettol, all the jokes were coming through. And it's easy to see why, Angie.
Yes, we talk about has he got the virus, but I think he is the virus. He is the actual problem. And when you have a debate like he had this week, and you are losing hands down, and you are scraping the barrel, you are actually talking over, really not defending yourself, really not even showing us who you really are in this time, telling people to stand back and stand by, and creating such a problem in terms of sending people to war. This is really what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Then when he talks about the black issues, he talks about racism and says it's like, he doesn't want that kind of law whereby, we are favored to the black companies and the black media and all the things that are about change. He says it's like a reversal. So what he's basically saying, he doesn't want black people to be in the position that white people are in. So he's saying a lot of things. Now, after that, you would have to take a fall. His advisories would have to sit him down and say, what the best thing for you to do is to shut up. Guess what they did in England? When Boris was failing, they gave him a virus. He had a virus. And he went away for a long time, and all the other players started to come in, because the leaders of these countries, England and in America, they don't know what they're doing, and they can't speak.
So I need to ask you the question again, Angie.
I don't believe he's got a virus. This is the most convenient virus I've ever seen. He looks well. You've heard Melena's tapes that were found, cussing Christmas decorations at best. Now, when you hear her speak, them two have to now shut up. How do you shut them up? Give them a virus. At this point right now, you can't inject some Dettol and say, fix up, bruv, drink some bleach.
Drink some bleach and go to sleep is what he should do. That would be my medical advice.
I think he's hiding.
But hold on. The one thing that, just putting my other head on here, the one thing that you would imagine that he would not want us to be discussing through his second term or his attempt to get a second term is the virus, because it's the one thing he's failed miserably at. 200,000 people are dead in America.
He didn't truly believe in, did he? When it started, he was a naysayer to the virus. So that's why it's interesting that even, as Angie says, even his advisors have told him, well, this is a good way to go. Good way to
hold on. I'm speaking to two articulate, intelligent people of African origin. I just want to get it clear, Ange. Neither you nor Curtis believe that this man has the virus.
He stood on the pulpit there and spoke and laughed at Joe Biden and said, look at him, he's always wearing a mask, okay? This is a man who is doing a campaign. They would be testing him and making sure anybody that comes into close proximity will be tested.
You're making my face twitch. I need an answer. You're not giving me an answer. It's like interviewing politicians. Listen, yes or no? Does he have a virus?
No.
How can I know? All I say, I don't think he has a virus. I don't believe he has a virus, but I can't.
Don't let me lie, Angie. We've answered the question, not to his satisfaction. Do you think he has a virus, Mr. Nestor?
I don't believe he has a virus.
I can't believe that this works in his favor. This does not work in his favor, and therefore I believe he has a virus.
Okay.
Really?
And it's better in my world, my little unicorn make-believe world. It's better that somebody who has denied something all this time and minimized its impact actually gets to feel it, because that's called karma in my world.
Okay, Eddie, let me help you now. The fact of the matter is, he's going on a campaign trail right now. He cannot manage it. He cannot defend it. The one thing that can attack any innocent person, rich, poor, healthy, not healthy, is this virus. That's the one thing he can say, well, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. But to be wrong about the virus as opposed to being wrong about running the country, I think he can take that hit.
And to be honest, he'll never say those words, I was wrong. They will never leave his mouth. Never.
Yeah,
He's not that guy. He won't say he was wrong.
No, please get those comments coming in. That is not the answer I expected, which is why it's good not to do any kind of rehearsal. If anybody hasn't seen When They See Us, I suggest you take a look. Donald Trump is a person that we could put on this show every week, and I resist it. But I think that one, stand back and stand down. I mean, let's not do that, because if I ask, is Donald Trump, do you think, a racist? I'm guessing that I think I know what the answer
there's no
would be.
Confusion about that. He won't denounce them. He won't push back against the white supremacists, because they are his core audience, his core market. He's probably one of them big elders within the KKK, and he has to defend them. Or, and that's why you can't denounce them. Let's put it that way.
And the fact that
he is a racist, proved it time and time again.
The fact that he can't denounce them, the fact that this is your head of state, this is your president, and he can't denounce it. And what he's now fueling is people who are gathering. People are saying, we are not our ancestors, because our ancestors weren't armed. They are telling their people to get legal arms so that we can defend it, because those people don't change. What has changed as these people. And this is what you want, America? I can't believe America wants that. I really can't believe America.
And then we've got to go back to Donald Trump as an individual throughout his business career. You remember many years ago, before he was president, thought about being president, and all of his buildings, and there was a campaign where he would not allow black people to buy property within his blocks, his tower blocks. And that was a massive deal way back when.
Time is up.
And it has not changed.
Time is up.
Okay, well, I hope so. The real reason we're talking about it is because we are in a moment with the virus, and you would have seen our Prime Minister on telly this morning. Just look after yourselves, yes? What was funny? That's all you can do. The report said that President and the First Lady had the virus, but their young son didn't. And in my head, it was quite funny, because it meant that in the interest of this child's health, it was better to keep him away from his mother and father. And that kind of makes sense in a lot of people's eyes. Let's go to another one. Now, this one, I think, I wasn't going to put it on, because it touches all sorts of sensitivities in my own house. Mrs. Nestor's going to be using me as her first project, I think, from this week for 12 weeks to lose weight and to be healthy. It's where she wants to go. It's what she wants to do, to be a nutritionalist and to be a healthy person. In order to do that, just bear with me, Curtis and Angie. In order to do that, you have to make yourself vulnerable. You have to put bits of yourself out there that perhaps other people wouldn't. And that's an issue I think she's going to have a big issue with, because the boss likes privacy. Here is a lady called Chrissy Teigen. If you don't know who she is married to John Legend. They have 2 children together. She was pregnant with the 3rd. Sadly, like 25% of pregnancies, it didn't work out. And it's such a tragic, heartbreaking story. She decided to put that story out there to her 15 million followers. So when you put it out there, you let people comment on it. And here was a comment from a program that we love because Judy loves on it. It's called Loose Women. Take a listen, because there have been a lot of complaints, and tell us what you think.
So it's so sad. It's absolutely tragic what has happened to her. And I don't follow her on social media at all, but I obviously looked at the pictures because we were talking about it today. And I have to say, I did feel a bit uncomfortable looking at them, because I felt like I was intruding in a way. And I know that she's put them up there, and I know that, you know, she has a lot of followers and fans who, you know, care deeply for what's going on with her whole pregnancy up until yesterday. But I just felt like, you know, that this is not really something I should be witnessing. And I'm not judging her, and I'm not saying she's wrong to do it, but I don't know. I just think it's such a private thing. I kind of question whether there are some things that you shouldn't have to share on social media. I don't know where we're going with all of this.
I told you it wasn't easy, but look, I am aware when I do these types of stories that there'll be a lot of people out there who've gone through this themselves. And please don't think in any way, shape or form we're trying to trivialize it. But, you know, in the difficult subjects lies freedom. So we're going to do it. Angie, as a mother of 3, should we be putting pictures like that up on the internet, do you think?
You know, I think that when it comes to your persona, we're living in a really different time right now, and we are living in a time of social media. We are living in a time of people being honest. We're living in a time where people are being open, and right now we can't be surprised by what people are sharing, especially if they have a history of sharing. Now, Chrissy has a history of sharing her life, all her life. You know, she talks out, she's very vocal, she's not a private person. So this isn't just a person who just went, here's my business. And what I felt was it was heartbreaking, because when I saw the tweet, I went, oh my God. And then I kept going, oh my God, there's the image. And then I started to think about the amount of people who go through that privately. You know, the trauma of losing a child, the trauma of going through a pregnancy to have a stillborn. People don't get to talk about it. Here we are now talking about it. People don't know how to support people in those situations. They kind of go, okay, hopefully you have another one. And now we're having this discussion that says, oh my God, to lose a child that you've been going, hey guys, 5 months, 6 months or whatever, and you've been journeying with us. This kind of makes sense for her story. This might be for her healing. There are some people that talk their business out that some people don't talk out, and people go, good for you. Right now, it helps them. If it helps you and it makes you heal, then what can we say? Right, I wish them all the best, because that is something.
Absolutely.
Because actually, I don't know if I could now that I've got my kids old now. But if I had now and I was talking now, I talk about even having a hysterectomy. I spoke about that because we were told not to speak. And every time we don't speak, somebody doesn't get healing. And this is a big problem for all of us. You know, I have to say this really seriously. When we were used to campaigning to get Black women to be seen as women with breast cancer, or Black women to be suffering from menopause and fibroids, and getting that promotion out there for Black women's image, because when I was growing up, that looked like a white middle class disease. It didn't look like it would affect black women. It didn't look like it would affect us. And this is why the conversation has to be open. So when somebody who looks like us or comes from our community is open about something, we now get to speak about what we've been suffering in silence for too long. So I all power to her for what she did, because that would take a lot to do. That wouldn't be about getting followers.
No, that wouldn't be. And again, like Andy said, maybe it's part of the healing, but I still think it's a generational thing. To speak on it, I think is one thing. The images to show, I don't know, man. I don't know, because I understand it's her healing process. She's sharing. I still maintain, I think it's a generational thing. I don't think, because I struggle with social media anyway, you know that, but we're on it, we're doing it, I'm enjoying aspects of it. But to actually your whole, everything is beautiful, but I don't know if the imagery was necessary. I personally don't know. If you want to sit there and have a conversation.
But the thing is, sorry to interrupt you, because the thing is that if you do put it out there, Angie, you've got to be prepared, like on this show, you've got to be prepared for people not necessarily to have the same point of view, not to approve of it, not to like it. And this program is now getting a lot of kickback and a lot of complaints because this lady said what she thought about it. Now, once you decide to put it out there, don't you have to take what comes with it?
Well, you have to take what comes with it. It's like an opinion. You might say, I don't like blue, and people come up and say, what's wrong with blue? Hate that you don't like blue. And you just go, well, I just said I didn't like blue. So the fact of the matter is, everything's going to offend somebody somewhere. Whether they've got the power to respond, we don't know. But what we have now is people who are going, everything's fair game. We're up for it. You want to talk about it? We're going to go for it. And whether that's good or bad, that's the game that we're in now.
I agree with you. But if you want that kind of following, Curtis, you're going to have to put stuff out there that you're not going to want necessarily instinctively to put out there. I don't know. I think if you put it out there, people comment.
I disagree. I don't think she put it out there to increase any following. That can't be the reason.
No. Angie, no. That's not.
As Angie said, she's sharing all the time. Apparently, I don't follow her. So she's sharing all the time, and it's part of it. But this is a part of society that I kind of struggle with. In that, have a conversation about it. This is my pain. This is what I'm feeling. But to post imagery, I don't know if that. I don't know. For me, that was a bit uncomfortable.
Okay,
uncomfortable. Do you? What can you say? You?
That's right. But if you do you, then people comment, and if I suppose the conversation now is about whether or not this woman was judging her, and if you comment, it can be interpreted as a judgment, right? So look, please keep your comments coming in about this one. It's a lot of conversation in my house about just how vulnerable you want to be, how much you want to put of your business out. It's a difficult one.
I would say as well, Eddie, just quickly, Chrissy can take it, you know. She can take it. I don't think people need to be worried about whether or not she can't take the criticism. She's been up there taking criticism for different things for a long time. So we're not talking with a thin-skinned lady here. You know what I mean? This is a very difficult time, but she shared it with her followers, and I think that's commendable for her.
All of a sudden, I feel really old. I think that's because there's aspects of your life, Angie, you're never going to put out there. And no, I think three of us are kind of like that. But it is interesting to watch.
You give away what you can afford to lose.
Look at you. Look at you. Who can't hear must feel, see and don't touch. Look at you. What you think is only you got saying.
No, all I said, you give away what you can afford to lose. That's what she's given away.
Boy, what a story. What a story. And I think that you touched on some things there, and certainly it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want people to know that. I could always talk about fibroids because it impacts on Black women much more. 5 times more Black women die in childbirth than anyone else. And, you know, I can't believe next week we would have done 18 shows and I haven't mentioned prostate cancer. It's difficult to make the decisions. And I know there are lots of stories people wish we would do, but every now and again, we have to break it up a little bit too. And we're going to break it up now by bringing the boss on.
Boss.
Boss lady.
Boss.
Hello. Good afternoon, 18.
Hey.
Good afternoon, Lisa.
Liz.
Looking good.
Thank you. Loving the T-shirts.
You grown really nice. You look really nice.
I've got the heater on now, so I'm okay and
You look so
comfortable.
warm.
You haven't
Anyway.
changed the tour from your photo.
Stop, no,
Curtis.
sore point, please. Divorce proceedings started. Anyway,
No.
hello to the lovely listeners.
Again.
Thank you all for your comments. We really appreciate them. Keep them coming in. Angela Estwick, with regard to Donald Trump, says, if you don't want to hear, you'll feel regarding Donald Trump. Jill Nichols, and just a reminder, she was our first sponsor. Please big her up. Facebook, Jill Nichols at Travel Counsellors. She says it's a distraction from talking about his taxes. Elaine Bartley says Trump should take a life test to prove he has it. We don't believe him. Many people didn't believe him on the comments. Denise Francis, regarding Chrissy Teigen, says awareness is a good thing, but they didn't have to take that picture. And just like Curtis, many people are saying that they love the fact that she talked about it, but they were uncomfortable about the picture being taken and put up. Mills says sometimes you need to share because suffering on your own is terrible. T. Smith said it kind of has a hint of cashing in. I know it seems harsh. And lastly, Patricia Warmington says, I think Chrissy was very brave. Keep your comments coming in. Don't forget to like, hashtag and share. Big up to Bajake and Blessings. They do designer flags. Eddie will be talking about Will soon. So please post your questions and we'll ask the guest when she comes on.
Okay, so
I
before
thought you were going to say put us in your will.
Sorry.
Not me. Please put us in yours.
Please, no, put me in it.
Before you go, we're going to do Black History Month, but obviously part of Black History Month should be celebrating. So I thought this would celebrate films.
Okay.
So before you go, I want everybody to tell me either their favorite black film or favorite film with a black person in a lead role. Yeah. And by watching it, then other people can see films and maybe that they haven't yet seen. What's yours, boss lady?
Well, it's got to be Imitations of Life. That's my favorite film.
Nice.
That brought tears to my eyes when she was banging on the funeral hearse there. That's got to be it. But also a nice light-hearted one, which I really like, which I've watched loads of times, is Girl Trips. If you want something light and not so heavy, those are my two.
Yeah, Bad Man got 3 pineapples.
He was lovely. Bye-bye.
I was talking about me. Anyway, look, all right.
I'm uncomfortable.
Right. So look, we'll do yours in a minute, right? We do your favorite black films or films in a minute. I think that we did put it out there last week, didn't we, about wills? I think all three of us know how important they are. I know that there are people in my life whose parents have given them their money. I think if you give them money and they live for 7 years, then it's a kind of a gift. But there are lots of problems that are caused because a will is not done. So there you go. You've asked for it. Here it is. I've got some questions here. So we are going to talk about wills. I'm going to invite Joan on. Now, Joan is an interesting lady because I met Joan in 2014. The first thing Joan asked me about, even before hello, was whether I had a will or power of attorney. And Joan, are you there? Hello, Joan.
Hello.
Hi, Joan.
Hello, Joan.
Say hello to Angie and Curtis. Right. So this is Joan. Right. You're going to stay big, Joan, because you're the important person here. Right. It's really important. Thank you, first of all. Joan has worked for the government for 42 years, and she's the person on Friday. Excuse me. Sorry, Curtis. You're supposed to say what I told you to say. You don't look old enough. I'll say.
I didn't want to interrupt. I thought that was quite obvious.
I thought you made a mistake.
You saw the shock on my face, didn't you?
So lean forward.
So Joan watches. Joan's a supporter, but Joan, you did say to me, "Have you got a will?" Why is that the first thing you say to somebody?
Because a lot of people think you don't need to have one, but particularly with you, when I first met you, is one of the subjects we discussed, because you've got a lot going on. You've got a wife, you've got 2 children, you've got businesses, you've probably got property, you're probably richer than me, Angie, and Curtis put together. and Mrs. Nestor needs to know that you've got it sorted, basically.
The question again.
Well said.
What
an assessment you made of him just on your first meeting. Spot on.
Lots of people say I don't need a will because I don't have any money. Does everybody need a will?
Not everybody needs a will, to be honest with you, but we're living in a society where, you know, the nuclear family is more and more complicated. We've got blended families. We've got unmarried partners. People think that common law means I can get your money. It doesn't, actually. Common law means nothing. If you're cohabitating with somebody, you can't inherit what you've got with them unless you're married to them or you're in a civil partnership. So you might be living with someone for all 30 years, right? You've got your house, which is probably in either joint names. If it's in joint names, then you're fine, but it has to be joint tenants, because if it's tenants in common, right? So me and Curtis own a property. We own it as joint tenants. Curtis dies, property comes to me. If we own
so about if you die, let's do it the other way.
Yeah, if I die, you get the property. But if we own it as tenants in common, right? If I die, I can do what I want with my share. You ain't getting it. So there's little nuances that people need to know about. And when you're buying a property, that's the one thing your solicitor should say to you. I should add, I'm not a solicitor. This is just my experience and my knowledge from 42 years worth, right? Unmarried partners, if you haven't registered a civil partnership, you can't inherit from each other. You could live together all 30 years, but when one of you dies, the other one's grabalicious family can come along and take whatever. They don't business, because under the laws of intestacy, it goes to your parents or your children. So
the deceased family can step in and take it away from the partner.
Yeah, because you're not married. You're not married. You're not in a civil partnership. Don't matter that you've been living forever and ever and ever. And even actually, you can get situations where the children, right? So me and you unmarried, I've got children from wherever. I die, my children come along and go, this is my mother's property. Get out. Frankly, get out.
Wow. It's so sad, because I think we all know people, if it has happened to us, where families fall apart over this.
Yeah.
Families are actually destroyed once the archetypal person passes away. I've seen siblings just fall out for years and years and years, don't speak to each other, because dad or whatever just assumed the oldest child would get the kind of thing they do. The eldest gets that, and then they're supposed to share it out with the rest of the siblings. But sometimes they just go, well, dad wouldn't want you to have had it. Mum didn't want you to get anything.
So we are 3 people, Joan, who one parent has passed, and it would be fascinating. I've been begging my mum to do a will, and my mum has only just done a will this year. I don't know why. I have to find out, but I've been begging her. I'm not going to die. I'm not. And I asked her if she knew when she was going to die. Angie, is your business sorted?
Absolutely. And for a while now, and looking after my parents and looking after my dad, and, you know, just the whole family dynamics of who is looking after the parents, because we all have those issues as well. And, you know, just also managing them and taking care of them. You know, we talk about wills, we talk about power of attorney and being the person to make a decision. When my dad was dying, I made a lot of decisions, you know, decisions that my mum perhaps couldn't make, that I had to make. And so therefore, I had to be in a position to be able to say, well, if anything happens to my parents, I know what I have to do.
What about if anything happens to you here and now today?
Yeah, it's all sorted. Everybody knows what they have to do. Because
you know, the thing is, Angie, have you done a will?
Have you got a will? Is what I'm asking.
Yes, and also because it's important that we talk about death. You know, I was lucky to have my parents who like to talk about death. They like to talk about what was happening next when they go. My dad used to say, I got 1 foot here and 1 foot in Denby. I'm going that way, and this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to do. My mum picked out her dresses, told me she's written the songs and everything for her to sing. She's that organized. So I kind of learned from them that you need to have the discussion and say, if anything happens to me tomorrow, and don't think it can't, it could happen. Don't be confused, because you're going to be emotional. And
that's really important. Because, and from the work that I do and speaking to consultants who've been involved in Corona and looking after people in hospital, actually, they're saying that those conversations around death are happening now. People were too afraid.
Are they really? Look, Sandra's put up on the screen now. What do you do if your partner, the person that you love, won't even discuss it? And let's not. Angie's just talked about something that her family has come to, but there are lots of us who refuse to discuss a will because a will means that somebody has to die.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Joe.
Still that. Yeah, I've talked to quite high people who say that they don't want to make a will. It's as a kiss of death, a lot of people feel. Once you start making that. But actually, particularly if you know you've got people who don't agree and people are argumentative, that document can actually settle those arguments.
Yeah.
Because you can say who you want to act as your executors. Be careful of putting a bank in as your executors, because they have underlying charges that they will take out of your estate.
Good point.
But you can appoint solicitors, you can appoint friends who you know are going to be trustworthy and responsible to do that role. You can also leave your funeral instructions through there. So there's no arguments. And if you want to leave anybody out, you can say why you're leaving that person out.
Do I have to tell people what's in my will before I die? Is that an advisable thing, do you think?
No.
You don't have to. Fear of arsenic and everything else, but no, you don't have to.
Now,
but you can tell me, Eddie, you can tell me, because I'm trustworthy. But don't tell anybody.
It's good to tell your executors, because obviously the people who you want to be your executors, you're going to ask them. So you're going to tell them.
Can an executor inherit? Can an executor inherit?
If you leave it in the will.
Because that's the conflict of interest.
Witnesses can't inherit.
Witnesses can't inherit, and executors can't inherit.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
In terms of power of attorney, which is a huge thing, what is it and why is it necessary?
My mum always says, you know how you come into this world, but you don't know how you're going to leave it. Right? We all think we're going to be dying in our beds and be compos mentis when we get to that stage. That's not going to happen. We could get dementia. Some of us could have a stroke. You could walk out and get run over by a bus. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to die.
Yeah.
But you're going to be in a state where you cannot make decisions for yourself. And if you've done a power of attorney, that gives you the opportunity to pick someone who can make those decisions for you. And Angie says that she's done one. There's two types. There's property and finance, which is your money and your property. And there's healthcare and welfare. And they're very useful to know. That it gives you comfort to know you've got somebody there who's going to make those decisions for you. Because people actually think, well, I'm the relative, I'm the next of kin. When push comes to shove, next of kin doesn't mean anything unless you've got the authority.
And
for our mothers, mum might say, oh, go up the road and get some money out for me. You've got the PIN, you've got the debit card, the PIN number to get the money out. But if that card gets stuck in the machine, you've had it. You can't walk into the bank and say, mum's card's got stuck in the machine. She's given me the PIN number. Can you do whatever? They'll turn around and say, well, you haven't got authority.
The thing is as well, especially if you're dealing with parents in the Caribbean, one thing that is really important is really getting your details and all your issues sorted out in the Caribbean. Because if you have to make decisions in the Caribbean, they will stop at anything to block and block and block. When I had to make decisions for my dad to move him from one hospital to another hospital, honestly, I had to get really dark on them because one hospital couldn't give him the antibiotics that he needed. So they had to say, well, have you got the power of attorney to take him out of this hospital and put him in another hospital? And I had to really go through a lot to make sure that I could do that. And you don't think about things like that. You don't think about the medication that you're saying, my mum can't make that decision because she's not informed on it. I have to make that decision. So I have to fly out to Jamaica to make that decision. So all of those things. And then if I have to go to the bank, I've got to go to the bank, because if my mum gets sick and I go to the bank, they're looking at me like, well, you can't take the lady money. And I'm thinking, even if I phone somebody, my mum has to be on the phone to say, yes, I authorize her to phone and whatever. If she's not there, all of that information has to transfer to me. And the hardest thing that we have in our families is deciding who is going to take on that responsibility.
Of the brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Always. A friend of mine, she had 4 sisters. She's one of 4 sisters. The mother made a power of attorney appointing one daughter over the other 3. Big arguments about you're coercing mum and whatever. And I said, you need to have the conversations. And
but they're difficult, Joe, and I think we have to appreciate they're very difficult.
They are. Yeah. I had the conversation with my mum and dad about, you know, what do you want to do when you die? What kind of funeral do you want or whatever? And they said, we won't be here. We don't care. But not everybody's parents are going to say that, you know. So
okay, so look, before we point people in the direction at time, what's the minimum age that you can write a will? Asked D. Green Ice.
You have to be 18. You have to be 18 and over to do a will, and the same for a power of attorney. There are 2 types of power of attorney. There's lots of information out there. We all walk around with this little computer in our pockets, basically. Right. Your mobile phone, you can get on gov.uk. You can find out about wills on there. If you're not sure who's going to inherit, there's even like a little calculator on gov.uk, or it talks about intestacy. And you go in there and it says, are you married? Are you single? Have you got children? And it will give you the answer as to who will inherit from your estate.
Okay, what happens? Sorry, Joan. I'm going to rush through as many questions as I can, right? Because lots of them are coming out. What happens if you're married after your firstborn? Does this affect the inheritance among their siblings? This is the blended family question.
No, because it's your firstborn, but it's still your child, so they still count.
Okay.
Your husband obviously will get money, will get up to £250,000 would go to your husband outright. The rest of money in your estate will be split between your children.
Okay, so some confusion. I think I better clear it up now. If you're a witness, probably not, but you can have an executor, because an executor can almost be anybody within that, but you can check that with gov.uk, absolutely fine. In terms of that, this is a good month for talking about this. Why, Joan?
Yeah, because for very many years now, solicitors and charities have run what they call Will Aid or Wills Months. So you can get on there, you can go to the Law Society, you can get on the Will Aid site, and you can find out who will give you a will. Some of them will do it for free. Some of the charities will link you up with solicitors who will do your will for free or a lower price. Some of the charities will like a little donation if you want to give it to them. So you can look at the cancer charities. Your will's going to vary. You can get a simple will, which is simple and straightforward. You might have a will which is a bit more complex, or you've got one which is really, really complex because you've got lots of business and finance all over the place, particularly if you've got property in the Caribbean. You need to get that sorted.
Okay. Another idea from Ingrid is that joint accounts with your parents are probably quite a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Someone just mentioned about needing to have mental capacity to make a will, which is true. Mental capacity is a big subject, which I know a lot about. But basically, when you're making a will, you have to know that you've got money, estate that you want to give to somebody. You've got to have an idea of who you want to leave stuff to. But you've also need to have an idea of who you want to leave out. And the thing about who you want to leave out is obviously because you don't want those people to come along and try and make a claim later on.
But those are the bad mind people who are going to cause all the problems anyway. And that's why you have
need to name them.
As John says, where there's a will, there's a relative, you know. Yes, and it is a bit like, what's the single most important thing that you would like us to take away from this conversation, Joe?
I think go away and think about a will, but also think about lasting powers of attorney, which Mr. Nestor knows I go on about him all the time, right? Because lots of decisions can be made about you when you're ill, and you need someone who knows you to be able to make those decisions on your behalf. I mean, from my own personal self, my brother, he had end-stage kidney disease, but he kept getting pneumonia all the time. And, you know, the arguments I had with the doctors, but when I said I've got his lasting power of attorney for his healthcare and welfare, and when he can't make those decisions, I can. End of arguments, basically.
Yeah.
So you need to have authorization. So sort your business. Don't leave it for the arguments later on.
Listen, Joan, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
We're gonna put a couple of links on about where perhaps you can get it. We're going to put it in the bio. Please keep checking in at the end when I say thank you to everybody, and I put that up. We'll do that as well. Happy anniversary, Joan, for this week, 42 years, and I appreciate. Oh, before you go, what's your favorite black film or film with a black person in it?
Imitation of Life.
Yes,
actually,
for goodness sake,
I mean,
it's a brilliant film.
You soppy people.
No,
it's a brilliant
actually,
film.
based on it is a brilliant film, and you have to think. You know, the first version came out in 1934, and the next version was 1959. And actually, for someone to have made a film about which was originally a book in those days, when you've got all the civil rights and all, you know, the rights that black people didn't have, to have a book like that about a biracial person and a film, I think was really groundbreaking. And it's a tearjerker. You know you love Mahalia Jackson anyway. So.
No. Bad man don't watch them film there. Thank you very much. Joan, look after yourself. Appreciate this very much.
Take care.
Bye, Joan.
Okay,
Bye,
so
Joan.
and as I say, to clear up any confusion, you know, as a witness, it's difficult, but as an executor, because all sorts of people can be executors, you definitely can. Yeah. So look, we're here. We're talking about all things in this month of February. Good chance, Curtis, for you to tell me your favorite black film or film with a black person in it.
Favorite black film is always going to be The Five Heartbeats. I've said that time and time again. It is one of my favorite films. But in the heat of the night, I think if you think back to younger days, Sidney Poitier in the heat of the night, powerful film. And that
historic. It's amazing, isn't it? Somebody put it up the other day, and the shock on the guy's face, you know, when he slapped him back. Never seen anything like that before that moment on film. And Angie,
and a brilliant performance, really, isn't it, from Sidney Poitier? So,
I would, well, my all-time favorite is definitely going to be The Color Purple. But I was also thinking again about another film that I really enjoyed was Hidden Figures. I really thought that was a powerful film, and it was. What was great about it is that it told a story about women, a mathematician, and somebody who could also, who we would not know about in history.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that was a very powerful film. I enjoyed that. So, you know, that alongside Black Panther, and I would say.
I think for me, Burning Illusion, I would put up there. I love that film so much. And if you get a chance to watch any of the films, right, then do. But that could happen now. I feel like that.
There's a lot of now, isn't there?
Menelik Shabazz. It could be now. It could be now. But look, if you've got an idea, what is yours? What's the one that you saw? Maybe that not lots of people have seen. I've decided to use this as a month where we kind of do that. Now, looking at that time, it's going very, very quickly. But we were a little late. Boss lady.
Hey, hello again. I was just looking at the films, what people were saying. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Thought you were watching one.
No, I'm looking at the comments coming through. People really like the Will's conversation. You're getting lots of thanks to Joan, and very informative. Rosie has said some of our parents have left us in chaos when not making a will.
Yeah.
Grant says such an important topic. Financial knowledge can save a lot of pain and struggle. Let's discuss and do.
Yeah.
Angela has said, I agree, it's important to have a will in place. I've seen so much infighting. Patricia talking about the topic you were speaking about, Angie. Her dad died in Jamaica without a will. It took their family 8 years to finally secure his property as his mum and dad was divorced. So other families made it different. difficult. So that's really important to make that.
Can
And
I also add to
Garfield,
that, Lisa?
yeah.
Can I just add to that as well for Jamaica? Is that there's a lot of fraudery in the Caribbeans as well when it comes to will. And I don't know if you know about Beverly East, the handwriting expertise. She does a lot of work with a lot of forgery. So it's something in the Caribbean that really needs to be looked at as well.
Definitely.
Just wanted to add that.
Thanks for making that point, Angie. And Eddie, Garfield has said that apparently you've got plenty of offshore accounts and you're hiding your money. So we'll have to have a discussion about that. So
people are mistaking me with Robbie G, I think.
And lots of films, people are loving that question. The Color Purple, Imitations of Life, Training Day, Soul Food, Coming to America,
Soul Food,
Oh Better Blues, Black Boy, Coach Carter, which I only watched the other day with our 11-year-old son, and I've got to say, Coach Carter is up there, especially if you've got a young lad going up. It teaches great morals. It's a brilliant film.
Man.
We might get you on one more time because we've got to move quickly now, and we've got a lot to talk about. Right. So, thank you very much, Boss Lady.
Thank you.
Fifth gear downhill, right? Because I can see the time, but we were a bit late. We had a conversation this week where, again, arguments in my house about where you make a stand and how you make that stand. And it is, of course, as everybody knows, the month of October, Black History Month. It's why Mrs. Nestor's wearing her Black Every Month T-shirt. It's there, and I think I have to say it in this safe space, my child's school, he's only just gone there, right? So I'm trying to ease in. I don't want them to know I'm a troublemaker, agitator, whatever. But they decided, they got the leaflet that said, we are not calling it Black History Month. We're calling it Cultural History Month. Yeah. So we opened it, sent the email, got a phone call from the school. And then I did, and I never expect people to accept this. I said, well, would you like to come onto my show and have the discussion with me? And he said, yeah. So unlike the BBC themselves, who wouldn't talk to me about the N-word, he came on. And I've got to tell you, props to him from coming on. I mean, you clearly know what I think. But Curtis, this idea, people feel uncomfortable. You've used that word a couple of times today in terms of Chrissy Teigen, but uncomfortable seems to me how people feel about the word black, and whether it be the Commission for Racial Equality now encompasses everything. What is it about the word black that makes people feel uncomfortable, Curtis?
I think it's political. It's a political word, they think. I've used it all my life. I remember even in our business, TV shows that wouldn't use it. Music of black origin. So that became MOBO. Black Music Awards became something else. And the word black is like, I don't know, for me, it's empowering. It's joyful. It's humorous. It's just a wonderful word. But some parts of society see it as so scary and so threatening. And I think that, again, is the history of us, the history of the word. And a lot of it is built on the guilt and the... They know what's happened to black people and what's happened to the color. Do you remember years ago, people was talking about black bags and tried to put it like it was something black people was concerned about. My mum still uses the word colored, and we have to correct her as black mum, but generationally, she was using the word colored. They just put a post box in the middle of Brixton for some reason.
Black post box? Did they put black post books?
Black post books. And I don't know
who come up with that?
Giving them memos that black people really care about the color of a post box when there's so much change we want to happen. Post boxes was never high on the agenda of black people. So we got a black post box, but we won't have a Black History Month in our school. You're like, what the hell? You know, celebrate the word. And if you, I didn't listen to the show Eddie with the teacher. But having a cultural awareness day isn't the same thing.
I said to him, why don't you
Black history all the time, but use the word black as much as you possibly can, because we have to address the balance of white opposed to being good and black being negative. We have to change that, and the only way to do that is to celebrate the word black.
and African. It's interesting to me that, you know, when we were on Choice, Angie, Choice used urban. Choice used the word urban. And I always wonder whether or not Curtis is portraying it as somebody else, but whether or not in all society, the word black, apart from when it applies to money, is something negative. Black History Day or Cultural History Day?
You know, Black History Month all day, and the reason why I feel so strongly about it is because, you know, yes, we can say I'm black every day, and every day I'm this, and I get it, but for 1 month we get to celebrate ourselves. They even do it in the Caribbean as well, celebrating this particular time where we concentrate and we say this is who we are. You know, back in the 80s we were talking about black and Asian, black and Asian, black and Asian, and the Asians dropped off and we stayed black by ourselves. Now people have piggybacked on our black case and our black cause for a very long time. So for us to turn into culture right now, that means everybody can get in. This is why BAME was so problematic, because BAME meant everything other than, you know, a group of other than whites. Diversity doesn't mean black. Diversity doesn't mean black. Diversity means people who are suffering from different things or have different things in society. Other than. So therefore, when people think, oh, I want to go for this diversity, they sometimes miss it for black and miss out because they felt that they were going to be catered for. BAME does the same thing. Black History Month, if you don't hold on to Black History Month, right? You know, when people say, oh, I don't celebrate it because I don't need to celebrate it. I get that and I appreciate that. But this time of the month, you get to talk about who we are, where we've come from. Until you get us in the complete history books, in this month, you're going to do that. And if it makes you feel guilty, because some people don't want to do it, some people are not celebrating. And I've always stood on this grounds of go and get what is ours in this climate, in this time. Because you know what, Eddie, if somebody owed me money and just me seeing them made them feel guilty and they paid me, I'll take the money. Thank you very much. So right now, you see a pillar box. If somebody walks up to the pillar box, I mean, yes, we go, what's all that about? But if one person goes and reads something, then good for you. If you do an assembly, I do assemblies. We're doing assemblies on Zoom now, Black History Month assemblies, to be able to say in front of a school, hi, guess what? I started here, I did that, and you can do it too.
That's the sad thing, because it's crucial for the schools to be doing it. That is probably more important than adults doing it. We're talking to a new generation.
No, adults
young minds being
adults are doing it too. Adults are doing it too. Children are watching adults talk about things that they didn't know about. When you see
what I mean is not having it in the school, I think, is a really detrimental.
No, he's agreeing with you. I agree. Yeah.
It should be. That's where it should be pushed.
But if you call it cultural, then that means it's going to be for cultures after a while.
Yeah, but the point about that, Angie, have that in February or November. I'm not averse to having culture. I want to know about all different cultures, and I want my children to. But this year month is Black History Month, and leave it alone. Which I had to say it in a different way because I didn't want my child to get thrown out of the school.
I'm agreeing with that, but what I'm saying is, if we don't all champion Black History Month, therefore they're going to say people don't come out to events. When I say to people, your school's doing an event or the person, the community centre is doing something, you've got to go, because that money will be issued to other people, because they're going to say every time we do it, no one turns up. You have to be deliberate. And I feel strongly about that.
Just on that, Curtis, and I know you and Angie's children are a lot older than mine, but you know, if you do what my parents did and say, I'm sending you to school to learn, then you've lost already. My job is to teach my children as well. Yeah. So in terms of that, you know, people like Akala will tell you Sunday school or Saturday school is where they learn a lot about the culture. And history is written by the victor, isn't it?
But saying that, Eddie, I'm sorry to cut you, but saying that, if you're at home and you're not a child that's going to get anything from your parents, if you're at home and you're not going to get sent to a Saturday school, and yet you go to a school and one of us comes into your schools and said, because I did it, you can do it. I'm telling you, that's very powerful.
Absolutely.
Not every child is privileged to be able to get that background, that teaching and training.
I accept that, which is...
And most parents work for a living other than doing 3 hours a day on a weekday. Most parents are too busy. Oh, sorry, Eddie, was that you? privileged.
It takes a lifetime preparation to do what I do, Curtis.
I know.
I just want to tell you that. I had so many things lined up today, you know. I had, if anybody was watching the Gambia thing about the going there for sex trafficking, there's a new political party that might be starting in the country. Yeah, but you lot don't, you just keep talking.
Bit late.
It's too late, isn't it? Before we get Curtis and Angie to tell us some of the stuff that they're doing, apparently so many of your films have been coming in. We better get some of them mentioned. Boss Lady. She's watching the film again, I think.
No, she's actually watching them as they talk about them.
Let's wait for interval.
No, that's not what we're waiting for. So the boss lady doesn't want to come on. So let's do something else then, shall we? Angie, what have you got coming up? What's going on for you?
Well, it's been a busy month, you know. Like I said, we do things, and climate has changed. People are trying to shift to quite a few things right now. So right now there's a lot of work and a lot of shows that we've done. We recorded one show that this last week, sorry I didn't know, which is on Tuesday night, which is a game show, quiz show with great team. So, look out for that on Tuesday. I will send some information on my social medias.
Okay. And in terms of you, Curtis, I think Mo's show is coming on soon. The book, you've been pushing the book. Has the show been helping you with the book?
Oh, Eddie, it has been fantastic. Been pushing. No, not really.
Where's the books? Where's the books?
Funny enough, on Thursday, did a scene in a movie on Thursday.
Well done.
In the middle of the rainiest season ever. We're outside doing a barbecue scene. And I just thought that sums up my year. One little film I get, the scene is in a garden, and the heavens open up and drown everybody. And the director said, "It's all right, we can't see the water on camera, we can't see the rain on camera." And somebody shouts, "But we can feel it though." And you go, "Soldier true." So you just smile it. It's nice.
Judith Jacob, I saw the pictures.
That's a great picture. Great picture. Great to see Judith looking so well. I mean, we haven't talked about the police for a few weeks, and I'm going to be speaking to the commissioner of the Met Police on Tuesday. Last time she came in, I thought they were going to send the police to arrest me. It was horrible. You think us talking over each other is bad here, but it was in the time where people were just getting arrested, handcuffed, whatever. It seems to have died down a bit, but I dare say by the time I talk to her on Tuesday, something else would have happened. Lots of your films, you can watch it all again on the Facebook, or you can watch it on YouTube. Next week, Angie, sad, isn't it?
Facebook. You're so old.
Facebook.
What's sad?
Well, I mean, what subject would you, Angie Lamar, like us to definitely have on the last of this series?
I would like to talk about young people and some of the issues that they have amongst themselves.
Be more particular. I need it more particular.
I'd like to talk about some of the anger and the violence.
So why are young people angry? Can I frame it like that?
Yeah, anger and the violence towards each other. Yeah, that's very important right now.
Curtis, one
subject probably got to be prostate cancer for men, because you've threatened to talk about that all season, and we haven't had that.
So prostate cancer and issues with young people. Okay. Yeah. Can I say breast cancer? It's going to be can't do two cancer things, can we? Okay.
It's important to know that it's the month, isn't it? And it's something that is in our community, and we get to speak about it in this space. So it's good to talk about it.
I just think that for us, it's about that same drive of getting men to get checked and get tested.
I think you don't have to justify it. I think all the ideas are brilliant.
They're ahead of us on that one, they really are.
But I kind of, the way that we do this pod now, for me, you have to have 2 or 3 lighter things in there,
Well, what you did with you can come down, we'll talk about the Teletubbies if you want.
We can do some comedy. Mo wants to come on, so that'd be great. Good to talk about the black comedy.
Which Mo?
Mo Gilligan, the guy who's doing the show.
Come on the podcast.
Yeah.
But he's too young, too good looking. Curtis is going to have a makeover before he comes up. He's going to look like his grandfather. We don't want those young, sexy boys on here.
Eddie, how do you get from the dark-haired person you were last week to this grey old man again? What goes on in your regime?
Listen,
wash and go.
So you wash the guy out. It doesn't stay there.
I had a black beard until I put that picture up of Mrs. Nestor yesterday, and then everything went downhill from there. It was very difficult.
She threw the dye away.
White spirits.
How do you get the black out? I'm going to show you now by saying thank you very much for being on the podcast this week, Curtis. Appreciate it very much. God bless you, Angie. Look after yourself. It's the last one. Next week for a little while. I mean, we've got to talk about it. It'll be a break for a little while, just so that I suppose you miss us. Thank you for buying the t-shirts. I just can't believe the McCall family. I love you. 11 t-shirts. Next week, we're going to put every single one of them up. And to the people, that's TikTok and I'm going to say TikTok and Mel for fitting into one of Andy's t-shirts. Well done to you very much. Now, listen, if there is a subject you absolutely want us to do, please don't be heavy. If there's a subject you absolutely want us to do next week, we're planning something special for you. Please let us know in the comments. Look after yourselves. Have a brilliant week. Please stay safe. It's very, very difficult out there. Thank you very much to Steph, to Naya, to the media mafia, and most particularly to the boss. God bless you. Hopefully we'll see you, God spare our lives, next Sunday.